This is Friday, June 14th. There are 33 days until San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Welcome to SDConCast, the official podcast of the San Diego Comic-Con unofficial blog.
VANUHTEE go.
Oh my god, I love LiveJournal, and my LiveJournal loves me. Current mood is hyperactive, current music, Refuse 73. I love the color scheme, it's pink and purple.
Good evening. I am your host, James Riley, and joining me on the podcast tonight, as always, Carrie Dixon.
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us.
And joining us, our special guest, Eric Goldman, managing editor of Fandom.
Hey guys, it's good to be back. I took a year off from guesting. Nice to be back here.
It's great to have you back.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
It is. This is always one of my favorite podcasts because I love talking TV. So
Feeling is mutual.
We're gonna take comments and questions during the show. So just tweet us at SD_comic_con or use the hashtag SDConCast. We will also be keeping an eye on the YouTube live chat if you wish to comment there. So, Carrie, have at it.
all right. So before we get too deep into TV, obviously at this point we don't have that much news. For anybody who doesn't know, the schedule will come out July 4th through the 7th. But we do know a couple of things right now. And let's actually talk about movies for a little bit. And we could include James in this. So we found out that Warner Brothers is not bringing their movies this year. Were you surprised by that?
Was that to me?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Warner Brothers has been one of the mainstays, right? Like they've been one of the two sort of major anchors on Saturdays. We kind of got used to Warner Brothers near the early afternoon, and then you had Marvel Studios at the end. So it is surprising, especially, there's so much talk about the sort of future of DC movies and how they are veering away from the what we thought of as the DCEU, and now they're doing these more sort of independent movies. But they've had some major success, right? Wonder Woman and Aquaman, two huge hits. Shazam well received, even though it wasn't quite as big a hit. So it felt like, between Joker and Birds of Prey and Wonder Woman 1984, those alone, and then they still had some other stuff they could have brought. I was surprised that they decided not to go, especially because Marvel Studios is always such a question mark if they'll go or not. So if they weren't going, then it could be like, okay, well, there's a Joker movie. That alone is going to get you so much attention, and it's opening fairly soon. So I was surprised to find out that they're just deciding to sit it out completely.
It is such a hard decision. And they said it was because they didn't feel like they had stuff ready for that time period to show. And it's like, you already have trailers out there. I mean, you just need to bring cast and show the trailer again, or like 2 new seconds, and everyone will be happy.
Yeah, that's not a great explanation when you think about the fact that we've had people show like sizzle reels of a movie that's been in production for 3 weeks versus like, the Joker, which is wrapped, and Wonder Woman wrapped last year. So that it was an interesting, weird excuse they gave there.
Yes, it is. We were pretty surprised too. I think in the last 10 years, Warner Brothers has only missed one other time. So they were pretty much like the only studio that had been like a mainstay for most of that time period. Mm-hmm. But as we keep telling everyone, just because Warner Brothers doesn't bring their movies, Warner Brothers TV will still bring lots of their TV shows. Like the two are not connected. Right. However, last year, Warner Brothers didn't bring any of their mid-season stuff.
Yeah.
And we've heard that that's probably pretty likely again this year.
Yeah, seems to be just a change up in their entire approach. I get it. It makes me sad, both as a fan and as a person who covers this stuff, because some shows are not going that I love. If this is the case again, and shows that I would just love to be there. On the other hand, I also understand that they were bringing so much, and just logistically, it's easy for us to sit here and be like, bring all your shows, Warner Brothers. And it's another thing for them to figure out the schedules for 20 TV shows, 20 casts, to get everyone around. I mean, it's so many moving pieces between like the panel, the signing, all the press they do going around, the press room they do. So I totally get it, deciding, hey, why are we bringing a show that's coming back in March when we have, we could just bring 10 shows or however many coming this fall. it does seem to be a new shift. But I also think you do have to look at the big picture and see that they're still pretty good about between New York Comic Con and WonderCon, making sure that there's still the love is spread for most things. You know, I'm a big advocate for the 100. I've moderated a lot of panels at Comic Con. It didn't go last summer, but then they went to WonderCon, right? They went before their premiere. So it's not like they're ignoring these shows. They're just deciding with San Diego, maybe we don't bring every single show we produce that has any genre connection.
Right. What do you think the odds are for some of the shows that are going to be ending like right after the convention, which I think this year is like iZombie and there's a couple others?
Very slim. I'm a little sad about iZombie because it seemed iZombie is the one show that really seemed to get nothing for its final season. It didn't make a single convention appearance. So
they skipped Comic-Con last year.
Right. They didn't go to San Diego and they didn't go to WonderCon. Unlike the 100, so they just get. But I don't see it happening. You think about the fact that Rob Thomas and so much of that team has moved to Veronica Mars. It just doesn't seem, unfortunately, like iZombie will get its due going out. And then you look at the 100. I think again, you know, it's renewed. It's coming back. But you know, I don't think they bring it this summer. I think they figure, okay, it's mid-season. We'll do that again.
I think the same thing. I think it's just way too close to the convention. No point in promoting it. One episode. But
what about something like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that is ending soon, but is already been renewed and I think they might even be filming the next season already.
Which show?
The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh yeah, that's a weird one, right? I could see either way on that one, right? Because even they didn't do a panel last year. And you know, full transparency, I was working at Marvel at the time, but the cast went to Comic-Con still, like there was still a presence. This time is different because they're airing a summer season and it's already been renewed for the next season. So it feels like there's a better chance than last year, where last year just like, you know, they were, hey, we're not going to be airing till next, you know, well into next year. That's when we'll do the full panel. I think there's a better chance just given that, yeah, they're sort of much more in the mix of things right now. It could go either way.
Do you think, you know, you mentioned WB is kind of making that decision to just like slot them kind of perfectly for when they're airing.
Right.
Does the fact that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came to WonderCon mean that they probably won't? But I know that they've done both. And
yeah, I wouldn't assume that, you know, just because they're just a little different. You know, Warner Brothers has been we were just so used to Warner Brothers bringing everything, not every show they produce, obviously, but every show that has a genre connection, and a couple like Big Bang Theory that are like much more peripheral. Marvel is a little more like this goes sometimes, this goes others. So I wouldn't say S.H.I.E.L.D. going to WonderCon means either, because there's been years, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's been years when S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gone to San Diego, New York, and WonderCon. And then there's been years where just in WonderCon, you know, they've done a lot of different. It's not like Warner Brothers where we can be so this is the way they did it and now they've changed it. Marvel, like a lot of other studios, is a little more change year to year based on their scheduling.
Absolutely. So one of the other things right now that we do actually know is coming back, according to Deadline, is Game of Thrones. Which were you surprised when that came out?
I guess I was surprised initially, but then I did think that when you think back on it, this was actually their style for quite a while. Game of Thrones would do this thing where, because just the way the show aired, they would come to Comic-Con, they'd be super secretive about the next season, and they would mostly treat their panels as a look back. They'd bring actors who played characters who just died, and it'd be more like, let's celebrate them. So this is almost doing what they not always did, but often did. I remember one year they used Comic-Con to do a bunch of cast announcements, but that was rare. Usually it was like, we're not going to give you any news. We're just going to look back in celebration of what we just did. So A, they did it before. B, the show is massive worldwide hit that also had a huge Comic-Con imprint. So it makes sense. It's just funny. It's a little surprising that it will be official, because I think, if I recall, when Lost ended, there was not like a big ABC Lost panel after, but there was a more fan-driven panel that Damon and Carlton showed up at, and they showed that funny video with the Man in Black and Jacob. But I don't think that was like a full like Hall H or Ballroom 20 style panel. It was just one that they kind of nicely coordinated with. This seems like more like the full court press. So it's a little surprising because it is a show that ended. And at the same time, they're going to want to talk about the amazing deluxe full series Blu-ray set. And, there's the concert tour. They can tout some stuff while giving these people a send-off. And as much as the final season obviously was very divisive, so it's going to be a little interesting. It's going to be different than if they went there and everyone thought it nailed it. But at the same time, there's still going to be much love for that cast and love for like the times we shared together over the past decade that I still think it will be well received. People can scoff, say, why would they want to go after they fit, the last season? But it's not going to be like that in that moment. Everyone's going to have a good time being there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. So Disney Plus.
Yes.
Bob Iger has said that Disney Plus will have some kind of presence at Comic-Con, but who knows what that is? What do you think we'll see?
I've actually shifted back and forth on this a little bit because at first I was like, okay, because I'd already heard the rumors for quite a while that, okay, D23 is going to be super big on Disney Plus. And now, of course, they put out the schedule and the first day is a big Disney Plus panel, which makes sense. But then I'm like, Disney Plus is such a big push for them, so clearly important for them, that I can see them now doing both. I can see them, and we'll talk about other Disney properties that could do both, but it just feels like, this is a major play. This is like the first sort of formidable, true threat to Netflix, we think in the long term when you look at just the properties they own. So I can see them saying, we have D23 to go even bigger, but at San Diego, we want to do some stuff. We've got Star Wars and Marvel shows on this sucker. I can see them having it won't be as expansive as D23 probably, but could still be some big things for people.
So if you had to guess, how would you think that they would split that up between the two conventions? Like what goes to which?
I just think they might be a couple more. Maybe it's more show specific because I think D23 will talk about. I say everything. Of course, that can't be literal because there's so much coming to Disney Plus. But I think what they're going to do at D23 is going to be like really running through like Lady and the Tramp, and the Mandalorian on almost equal footing. Whereas like maybe at Comic-Con, it's a Mandalorian specific panel. Right.
Yeah.
There's a big question about Star Wars here where it's like, again, episode 9, does that go? Well, there's been years in the past where they've done Celebration, Comic-Con, and D23 for a Star Wars movie. There's no reason they can't do it again. And there's no reason they can't do it for The Mandalorian as well. And I think we don't know yet. I don't think they've said yet when Loki is premiering, which is going to be the first of like the MCU spin-off shows. So if any of them go to be that one, I think it's too early for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But maybe Loki, if they think it's premiering soon enough to bring. But The Mandalorian's the one. If I thought just one thing, it would be like The Mandalorian gets a panel, or they do like a Star Wars TV panel that talks about the Clone Wars return and The Mandalorian. They could split it. I could actually see that happening a lot too. Dave Filoni's involved in both. So you have him up on stage for both, and they can swap out the other people up there with him.
Yeah, and they did that.
Obviously, it's a very beloved presence. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So let's talk Amazon. We are fairly certain that they're bringing The Boys. We know that they're going to do another huge offsite this year that focuses on a bunch of their stuff like The Boys, Carnival Row, and The Expanse. But last year, as far as panels, all they did was that kind of weird combined showrunner panel.
Yeah.
But they also didn't have a lot of genre stuff on their schedule last year. So what would you think Amazon would do this year? Do you think we'll see panels for their different shows? Do you think we'll see a combined panel again?
I don't think they'll do it as muddled as last year. The Boys does seem like one they'd want to give it. Just it's a direct comic book, and it's got Seth Rogen. As a producer, not as an actor. So it just feels like there's enough there to give it its due and give it its own panel. So if any, maybe they could do a split panel that did like 2 or 3 at the most, but I don't think they do what they did last year, right? With just a bunch of people mixed in from a bunch of shows. I think that they give The Boys its due, whether it has a significant amount of time swapping out within an hour, or more likely just give it its own panel, because they could also do like show an episode and then have them talk, or show the first 20 minutes of an episode. There's a lot of different ways to do it.
Absolutely. So let's talk DC Universe. Last year, they kind of had that one panel that was just like a broad overview of DC Universe, but they didn't really do panels for their individual shows.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think now that the streaming network is out, do you think we'll see a shift? Do you think we'll get a couple bigger panels for any of that?
Titans being renewed makes me feel Titans will have a panel. I think the bigger question, so my biggest question is Doom Patrol, which is not officially renewed right now. And obviously there's a lot of questions about DC Universe and the scheme of things, and Swamp Thing getting canceled. Yep. But I think Titans gets a panel, and I think Doom Patrol, if they decide to announce it's renewed beforehand, could also. Stargirl maybe, although now that's been pushed to next year. So I'm like hazy on Stargirl. I think is least likely. Doom Patrol maybe, but I feel like Titans is going to get a panel. It just feels like it's a returning show. It's it's presumably coming back this fall. They've got now like a fan base for it, so I think that gets its own panel. I say it, but no, most likely.
Yeah, no, I get it. Speaking of streaming networks, Hulu. Mm-hmm. Do we think that they bring Veronica Mars? It premieres like days after the convention starts, which sometimes that's too close to bring. But Veronica Mars obviously has a long history with the con.
Yeah. I think they do. I actually, as you said this, you're reminding me of my first Comic-Con with IGN was when Veronica Mars season 3 came. Might have been their first Comic-Con appearance, but yeah. It was certainly a well-received one. By the way, as an aside, it was Comic-Con still hadn't exploded yet. So I remember being in the press room for Veronica Mars and getting like 10 to 15 minutes to sit down and talk with Rob Thomas in the press room. Wow. Like it's just over now. That would never happen now. Now it's like, if you're lucky, a press line where you get like 4 minutes. So yeah, Veronica Mars, just you think about that show, its fan base, Kristen Bell's fan base. It just feels like I'd be very surprised if Veronica Mars doesn't go. They must know that that's like just like the perfect sort of homegrown. Again, even though it's not strictly a genre show, it just is so attached to that world and to that passionate fan base.
Well, I mean, even when the movie went, like the movie was in Hall H. Like,
That's right. A Kickstarter movie was in Hall H. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Yeah. They also have Animaniacs, the reboot, which I feel like will definitely be there because they've also got an Animaniacs live concert going on that same week. So if they're in town, like it makes no sense to me not to do a panel.
It makes sense. There's again the Warner Brothers connection, which even as we're saying that Warner Brothers movies isn't going and they're doing less TV, they're still so keyed in on it. Rob Paulson is such a sort of Comic-Con, VIP. Animaniacs again is both beloved and also has like that sort of 90s nostalgia thing going for it. That one seems highly likely.
I think so too. Netflix. That one is always a bit of a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Big wild card. So, of course, timing-wise, it's right after Stranger Things. Stranger Things season 2 went and was a huge deal, like a rock concert. Return. The heroes coming. I say returning, but that was just the show returning. They hadn't gone to Comic-Con for season 1, but this time it'll have just premiered. A couple weeks before. And so it seems unlikely that they would do like a full Stranger Things panel, given that timing. I see. If they did anything, maybe Netflix does a combined panel or like a the heroes of Netflix sort of thing. Because the show I would love to see Netflix bring, and this is just selfishly, is Glow, which is well timed. It premieres in August. Alison Brie is a huge Comic-Con beloved alumni. She was there so many years for Community. The wrestling tie-in is already there. There's already wrestling panels at Comic-Con. So Glow to me seems like very good possibility. And then of course Dark Crystal. which
that's the one I'm rooting for.
Yeah. Those two, I feel, if you look at the timing of when they premiere, their fan bases, a lot of the people involved with them, it feels like those would be two smart shows to bring. If Stranger Things goes, I would bet it would be sort of like a combined, people you love from Netflix panel that could have a couple of the Stranger Things kids with a couple of the Glow people, and but that's unlikely just because of Stranger Things' timing.
Another thing in Dark Crystal's favor is actually that we already know Brian Henson is in town because they're doing like a Farscape 20th anniversary thing and a couple other stuff. So that's what I'm rooting for.
And Javi is one of the writers, and he's always at Comic-Con. There's just there's a lot of reasons to think it could go there.
I agree. All right. Let's see here. What else did I want to ask? All right, Eric, what is the number one thing that you would actually like to see this year, personally?
Of brand new things, I want to see Watchmen, because I want to see Watchmen. I'm so excited for the show. I was, first of all, I'm a huge Lost fan. Whatever you think the pros and cons of that show are, overall, I have positive feelings for. Leftovers, I thought was phenomenal. I understand why they never brought it to Comic-Con, even though they could have. They
absolutely could have.
They could have. But now Watchmen, clearly just on what it is Comic-Con friendly. Damon Lindelof was such a great presence at Comic-Con with the years that Lost was on the air. And I want to see more of the show. So that is my, if I could, besides Glow, which is just, I love Glow and I love the panel. Watchmen, though, is like the one of here's something, brand new as far as like a new show that hasn't premiered yet that I think would be really cool if it went.
I mean, they have to bring it, though. Like, it comes out relatively close to the convention.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. I will be shocked, but granted, I've been shocked about a lot so far this year, if that's not like HBO's really big offsite here as well.
Yeah. And now it's like, okay, they're bringing Game of Thrones, and then wasn't it this past week that we heard Westworld, other W show that I couldn't think of. Westworld is probably coming back. So yeah, it's like if they're already going there, they've already had huge panels there before. Knock on wood that Watchmen will join them.
I hope so. And I feel like that would be a nice way to shut down everyone who last year was like, oh my God, HBO's not going, like Comic-Con's over. Now It's like, well, they skipped a year, but they're back bigger than literally ever.
Right.
So.
I mean, it's funny because Warner Brothers, the fact that Warner Brothers on the movie side has already said, we'll be there next year,
Yeah.
They make these decisions, Marvel Studios, you could never really predict, people are like, oh my God, they didn't go this year.
They actually did say last year. They said they'd be back this year. So.
Right. So, and even D23 years have not become absolute, ways to know if there is. It makes it more likely they won't, but it doesn't mean for sure they won't. Because they've done it.
Last D23, the Avengers showed up at both.
Yep, exactly. Mm-hmm. They showed that the Infinity War first footage of both.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Okay, so we've got a couple reader questions here. AB Pokemani wants to know, what FX shows do you think will come? Do you think Legion has a chance, since it will mostly be over, I think, by the time Comic-Con rolls around?
That's a hard one. First of all, by the way, I was at the Legion premiere last night, which sounds like a total brag. I would just say awesome. I love the premiere. It's a great. I purposely waited to watch it. I could have watched the screener, but I love the look of Legion, and it's like a show that really, if you watch it on a movie screen, it's just kind of amazing. So I hope Legion goes, even though it doesn't feel like it's been big enough for them to bring it for the end. I wish that weren't the case, but it's a pretty cult show. And again, Comic-Con, obviously cult shows and Comic-Con go hand in hand, but it just still makes me feel like, I don't know. I don't know on Legion.
I think it's just, the end, like we were talking about on the broadcast side, I feel like the end is just too close to when Comic-Con is, but I hope we're wrong.
Yeah, if it were like with 5 episodes still left, but it's a short season, so it just seems like it probably won't.
They can just throw like one of those little mini buildings over there in their FX lawn thing.
Yeah.
We brought Legion.
Yeah, right. And honestly, they could do the thing of like someone could be there for a signing or something like that. That is a possibility. Archer is kind of a perennial though, right? Like Archer feels like a show that FX likes to bring to these things. So
Yes,
I wouldn't be shocked to see them. Yeah.
What do you think about What We Do in Shadows?
It feels too early. I mean, you could do the celebratory thing, but FX doesn't tend to do that, right? Obviously it would go over huge. I mean, Jermaine and Taika, I was at the TCA panel for that show in January, and TCA sadly is not publicly broadcast and you're not allowed to film it because guess what? They were great and they were hysterical on that panel. So that would go over big. But I feel like that's more likely a New York Comic Con or WonderCon based on timing than San Diego. I would love them to go though.
That'll be another thing over there in that FX lawn.
Yep. They'll be. That one even more than Legion, I think, is going to be likely to be represented and have some cool thing to look at. But probably won't have a panel.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see here. What other questions do we have from you guys? This is a good one. What do we think about the chances of Outlander?
So they've gone back and forth with Outlander, right? It's obviously had a huge presence. But Starz feels like they've scaled back in recent years.
I agree.
And again, it might just be a budget question or whatnot. So right now, I feel. And I'm trying to think what else Starz might have to bring, because they don't have Ash versus Evil Dead anymore.
They've got American Gods, but I feel like that's way too early.
Yeah, it's too early. It's too early for that. I mean, with that show schedule, who knows?
Comic-Con next year might be too early.
Right. So Outlander, right now I just feel like it's probably not going to go, but that's a show that just seems to be. You never know with that one.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think the odds of Rick and Morty are?
Good, very good. Adult Swim obviously likes to go big anyway. Rick and Morty, it's been such a huge, I'd say surprise how huge it caught on. It's coming back soon enough. So I feel like, and obviously Dan Harmon has a long history with Comic-Con going back to his community days. So that one, I would be surprised if they don't go with Rick and Morty.
I absolutely
that feels
agree.
like a building side. That feels like they might get a big building heart.
We can hope. Let's talk NBC for a second. So last year they went really big on obviously The Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we've seen a couple signs that they may actually go really big again with their comedy this year. What do you think they'll bring?
I think it makes sense to bring those again. You just the audience for those shows. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, at a glance, is one of those shows I know that feels what? It's a comedy about cops. Why is that at Comic-Con? But then just the people involved, the people making it just has that kind of loyal, passionate audience. Good Place, is a genre show, and Kristen Bell again. It's so likely that she's there for Veronica Mars anyway. They did that huge Good Place offsite last year.
Awesome.
Which it was awesome, and thank you to my friend Shelby, and thank my friend Shelby's boyfriend whose train was late because I got to pose as her boyfriend, and because I was talking to her in line, and she's like, he's not going to make it in time, just going with me on the reservation. Considering what they did last year, considering Good Place is going into its final season, it could definitely be like a celebratory thing now that everyone knows that, and they can say goodbye to it, especially because NBC doesn't seem likely to do the show ended after the fact panel next year. I think Good Place just makes sense, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine is just, they're kind of tied in together. The Mike Schur of it all. They feel like a good fit there.
I think so too. That's my hope. All right. I think that's about all we've got. Do you see any other questions that we need answered, James?
Some people have mentioned some other shows like Vikings.
That's a good one.
Right, is Vikings, because Vikings is a show where I honestly forget their schedule, because they've announced the end, but then they do these things where they air, half seasons and whatnot.
Right.
I'm trying to remember if they're going into their final run of episodes yet. But they go so much that I would expect them to go. The other thing I wanted to mention that we haven't talked about, it seems like such a no-brainer that yes, the Warner Brothers CW DC shows will go.
Yes.
They always go. But I just want to mention Arrow is going into its final season. So I think you'll really see that be like the focus. But there'll be two things. Batwoman's launching, so Batwoman will get a ton of attention, but Arrow ending, I can see a big Arrow tribute, and then Supernatural.
Yeah.
That's going to be I am sad. I'm very sad I missed a couple years ago the one where they had the surprise Kansas performance. Yeah. I don't know how they top that, but I know they're going to think of something because what a freaking run that show has had.
Oh my God, I know.
How long it's been on the air. Its fan base is one of the most passionate you'll ever find at Comic-Con. I mean, the fact that they've been in Hall H for as long as they had. I will another story of my own. I moderated Supernatural. Gosh, was it season 6, season 7? It was one of the Sarah Gamble EP showrunner seasons around 2011, and that was I think that was their first year in Hall H. It was the only time I moderated a panel in Hall H, so I was very nervous. But back then, they were very, a little behind the scenes. And that year, it was, I think, might have been the first year they even did Hall H on Sunday, right? And they were scared that it wouldn't fill up because it didn't have any movies. It was really Supernatural, maybe Doctor Who was there that year. And
it was
so
Doctor Who, I was there.
And Glee, I would think, was one of those first ones.
Yeah.
Yep, Glee was there, yep.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember this. They didn't put chairs down for the back of the hall.
Yeah, they left
the back. Think it would fill. They were so nervous that can these really fill Hall H? The answer, of course, was yes, they could. And so it's just it's funny to look back on that and see Supernatural. Not only could it, but it was like not even halfway through its run. It was plenty more for them to do. So I think. The goodbyes to Arrow and Supernatural are going to be kind of a big deal for Warner Brothers TV.
Yeah. No, absolutely. As they should be, quite frankly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
all right.
I have
go ahead.
One actually kind of like it's about Marvel, and I think this one's kind of answered with the whole Disney Plus thing. But since the Disney Plus shows have been said that they're in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, do you think that if Marvel Studios does show up, that they just kind of wrap that stuff in with the Marvel Studios since they really don't have any movies to promote? That's more like, I think it's more like going to be like a wrap up of the first whole phase 22 movies, and then let's see what's coming next. And do you think they're going to wrap the TV shows into that?
I can see that. I mean, okay, so and I don't know how much you guys have talked about this yet, but Marvel Studios has yet to announce a single Phase 4 movie officially, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, this is very funny because the Black Widow movie is filming right now. There are photos of Scarlett Johansson with the red hair filming a movie that Marvel Studios does not acknowledge exists. So the question becomes, are they going to do the huge slate announcement like they did, several years ago? They did the big Phase 3, here's all the movies. And of course, a couple things changed along the way, but still was 80% what they ended up being. Do they do that, or do they play it a little more close to the vest and they at least acknowledge Black Widow is opening next May because it's still listed as untitled Marvel movie opening next May on Disney's slate? And only maybe that, and maybe Eternals, because that's also going to start filming very soon and a bunch of actors, and then pivot into Disney Plus. I could see that. I could see them maybe deciding we're not going to announce the Phase 4 slate. We're going to just announce
later at D23, right?
Yeah. You could say that for D23, but you could at least acknowledge that a movie that is filming right now, that people are taking photos of them filming, exists. And Loki looks like they'll have some footage they could show, even if it's part of a sizzle reel. So I could see that. I think yes, the Disney Plus Marvel Studios shows, again, because I think Disney Plus gets its full court treatment at D23, but that Mandalorian most likely to get a panel or a big panel presence, and then the Loki show again. I can't remember if they've said anything about the timing of that. I know Falcon and Winter Soldier is not supposed to be till next summer, so I don't see them doing much for that. But Loki, I could see them being Black Widow's coming next year. Eternals is coming next year, and the Loki series, whether it's coming end of this year or beginning next year, and they could do something that is part of the Marvel Studios slate. Because clearly, Tom Hiddleston and Hall H go together very well,
Goes over well. Yeah.
and are received very well. So.
Well, thanks, Will Town, for that question. And another one we have, which is one we haven't actually talked about, and that's CBS. And they kind of are banking heavily on a lot of Star Trek.
Yes.
So Kim M asks, what do you think the odds are of getting Picard?
Saying 100% feels like I'm setting myself up for failure, so I'll say 99.9%. It just, Picard is such a big deal. You know, Star Trek Discovery was a big deal because it was the first Star Trek show in so long, but Picard is like just the fact that this character is coming back, that Patrick Stewart is coming back. That's going to be huge. CBS in general has obviously been a big presence at Comic-Con, even sometimes with shows that feel completely like they don't fit there.
That's what I say every year.
Yeah. But bringing Picard seems like such a no-brainer. That would be one of the bigger surprises if it didn't go right at this point. Yeah. And so
absolutely.
I'd be legit shocked if Picard didn't go.
I would be too. And if anyone is interested, the offsite that they always do at the J. Michael Wolff Gallery is back this year with Star Trek again, and it's going to be bigger than ever. It's actually going to be both floors. So
both floors, as if they have two shows to display things from.
Crazy. What do you think about Twilight Zone, which is a CBS thing that actually would make sense, but
it would make sense, but it's going to be quite a while before it's back. And to be blunt, it hasn't been hugely received. Like people are just kind of like okay on it. Yeah. If anything, maybe it can be like rolled in with like an offsite presence or something. But panel wise, I don't know. I feel like Picard is just such, the focus. And again, they could do a bigger Star Trek thing and they could bring Discovery as well. But it feels like, Twilight Zone, I'd be less like, especially because Twilight Zone doesn't have like an ongoing cast to bring. So it feels like it's going to be Star Trek, and with Picard is the huge focus.
I think so too. All right, let's see.
You can look at the other questions on there if there are any, but I have a question that I'd like to know the answer to. What do you think about showing full episodes during panels and then having that limit, if they bring cast, having that limit cast Q&A time? Do you think that's an okay move? Do you not like it as a fan, or do you think it's okay as a moderator because then you don't have to fill the entire hour?
I have mixed feelings on it. Like, look, I've moderated panels that did this. I moderated the 100's first ever Comic-Con panel when it did this. It's extremely limiting, clearly, as a moderator, to know you have such short time. On the other hand, if you're a show like the 100 that is not pre-sold, it really has to be like, we really want to show that if you didn't show the full panel, it would be pretty tough to do an entire panel, because the audience, especially, like, how much did you show them enough for them to ask questions yet? So I see both sides of it. It can get pretty dicey as a moderator, or even as an audience member, if you want to see these people on stage longer, especially if the schedule falls behind and they might want like that Q&A to be even shorter. So I'm giving you a long answer to say a bit of both, because clearly, if they think they have a strong pilot, if they think this pilot sells the show better than having the cast talk about it for an hour would, because if you're talking about a show that doesn't have huge stars, is not based on a comic book or something else, and you just want to be like, check this out, showing the pilot is great. I mean, I actually think back on Lost is kind of a very famous example where they showed the first half of the 2-hour pilot, but Heroes went over huge by showing its pilot, and Heroes, did not have anyone attached that was, really, it wasn't based on anything, and that worked really well for them. So as much as I have some, complaints or gripes about it sometimes, I think it can be a really good way to have people walk out and be like, I just saw the coolest pilot. You need to check it out this fall. More than I saw some people talk about something that sounds like it could be interesting. They just saw tangible proof that it at least starts really, really well.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing, though, is you say pilot every time. So in my opinion, that means, yes, showing a pilot would be an excellent idea, as you say, if you need to sell it. But do we really need to see the season 3 premiere or the season 7 premiere of a show?
No, no. And maybe the best, sometimes there's a compromise, and like S.H.I.E.L.D. has done this, right? Like S.H.I.E.L.D. has shown entire premieres, but they've also shown like the first act, and sometimes that can be really good. And sometimes on a returning show, that could be even better, because then you can show like someone's in terrible peril 20 minutes in, cut the black. You have to wait till September 24th to see what happens next. And then you get people tweeting spoilers, but the spoilers are only up for the first 20 minutes. So that feels like a good compromise. And then you have much more time for Q&A.
Exactly. Well, thank you.
All right. One network that we're getting a bunch of questions on. I mean, I pretty much know the answer to this, but BBC America.
Mm-hmm.
You think they bring Doctor Who?
BBC's kind of got that thing going. The Outlander, Doctor Who, I should say, specifically has the Outlander thing of sometimes they go and sometimes they don't. It just.
If you notice, though, they pretty much only don't go in years that they're between doctors.
Right. Although I feel like they didn't go every year. I don't know. I think that there's been some other times where they've gone a little bit back and forth based on the timing of the schedule. I'm trying to remember. Did they go last year? I'm forgetting, actually.
Yes,
yeah.
The Doctor at Comic-Con.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel to me that's another 50-50 one, just because I feel like that show is such a specific, usually promotion schedule, and they bring them around the world to do different things. Does it work for their timing with, both production, promotion, and scheduling of when the show is coming back, when's the next season actually airing. But it's more likely than not. I shouldn't say 50-50. I'll give it a 60-40 on Doctor Who coming.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, I think that about does it for our questions. So thank you so much, Eric, for joining us. This is always a super fun chat about TV at Comic-Con. Can't wait to see the schedule. Where can our readers find you online?
You can find me at the managing editor at fandom.com. You'll see some articles by me there, or some articles that I've edited there. And then on Twitter and Instagram, I'm the Eric Goldman. And it's a mixture of pop culture and theme parks and my cats.
One last question, though.
Yes.
Can we expect to see you on stage moderating any panels this year? Yes, no, maybe, possibly?
Maybe. I'll give you a strong maybe. Oh, I should also plug, if anyone watching also cares about pro wrestling, or just two guys talking about something and they might go off on tangents about 1980s movies, the We Enjoy Wrestling podcast, we're on Twitter at WEW Podcast. Matt Fowler and I, you can listen to us talk about wrestling or whatever else comes to our mind, because we tend to go on a lot of tangents.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, thank you again so much, Eric. And I hope I'll get to run into you at the con somewhere.
Same here, guys. Thanks for having me. It's always really fun.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Well, that was fun, right? I always love when he comes on because I get to talk TV.
Go down like all the TV, like yes, no, yes, no, yes, and then dashing hopes and lifting them up all at the same time.
That's okay. To me, honestly, like I love Comic-Con, but to me, this is kind of the most fun part, because we're currently in the Schrodinger's cat part. Like, anything is both possible and not possible. Like, what will come? No one knows. Well, people do know, but we don't. So
we don't know.
We don't. So it's always really fun, just to speculate about what might come. So I love this part of it. But we had some big news today, and actually a bunch of big news over the last week. Shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
You want me to kick it off with my very favorite subject? Hey guys, badges are shipping. Yay! All right. Yay! Which is also
now you cannot ask us that question for 11 months.
No, they absolutely can, because the question now becomes, well, why has that person received an email but I haven't? When are my badges shipping?
That's a different question. They can no longer ask to have badges shipped.
It's in the same family. So for anyone who doesn't know, badges ship in batches, which means that even though badges started to ship today, if you've not received your email yet, that does not mean like, oh my God, panic, I'm not getting my badges. They take usually like two or 3 weeks like to mail them all out. Sometimes last year people literally would get their email notifying them their badge shipped the day that they got it in the mail. So yeah, so good times. But people should start receiving their badges any day now, and I'm super curious to see what they look like, because as we also learned, they're going to be the little paper slips this year, just like in the holder. It sounds like no fancy RFID card with an RFID sticker instead. So it sounds like we will not get a fancy design. No more Walking Dead for those of you who enjoyed or hated that.
Yeah, so they've always had the paper in there, but now
Yes.
there's not going to be the extra hard RFID tag that you would scan that had the Walking Dead on it.
We are basically going back to, what is it, pre-2016 badges, just with a sticker. It's literally what we're doing.
I don't get it. That technology has gone way past where a sticker can do that. So
I know, crazy.
whatever.
If you are an international attendee, or if for any reason you didn't verify your badge, or your badge does get lost, you can still pick it up on site. It is no longer the huge hassle that it used to be in years past, because most people get their badges in the mail now, so the lines aren't long. But we posted the schedule up on our site.
Also, we had news that Stumptown from ABC will have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con. It's based on the graphic novel by Greg Rucka and Matthew Southworth. And Rucka revealed on a recent episode of Word Balloon that they will be there to promote the series.
And I feel fairly confident that will get a panel, because last year they did signings only for their shows, but it was with stars only. So if they're bringing Greg Rucka in to promote the show, I feel like surely we're going to get a panel, but we will see. If you are looking for some original art at the convention, we have started our list of artist commissions, which is full of artists that are open or closed for commissions. You should go check it out. There's a whole bunch of really great artists on there.
Which also, on the flip side, if you are an artist and you have a commission list that you would like us to put on there, send us an email or contact us on Twitter.
Email me. Do that. Sometimes I don't always see all the tweets. Email me. Panels.
We have a long list of confirmed or mostly confirmed panels. I think it's up to 47, closing in on 50, something like that.
Yeah, it's somewhere in between
the list.
Numbers.
We don't know what day. It's just in the no date announced yet, but we have a nice list of stuff, which we will talk about a few of the big ones in just a moment.
Yes, we will. We also this week we did a 2-part series. Our lovely Erin Tapkin wrote these, and it's 50 facts about San Diego Comic-Con to celebrate 50 years of the convention. They're really cool. It's got a whole bunch of stuff that you may not have known about the convention. She did a great job on that, so go check it out.
It's awesome. We had the announcement of a Walking Dead contest where you can meet the cast, transform into a walker. It's if you download and play the basically Walking Dead slots game. You had to play it to level 7, close the app, reopen it, and then this little thing will pop up and say, hey, enter here. I think on their Facebook page, you may be able to there may be a link to where you can enter without using the app. But basically, this confirms that the Walking Dead cast will be at Comic-Con. And of course, that means most likely there will be another panel. But that is not right?
Well, Galen Hurd also said, we'll see you at Comic-Con. There will be a panel. It's not
hard to figure them out.
No.
They've been going for 10 years. You might go again.
Read between the lines, they will be in Hall H. But I say that I feel as though I have gotten so much wrong this year. 2 things. A month ago, I'd have been very certain of.
Warner Brothers. It blows all of your predictions out of the water.
Oh, yeah.
One solid, they're gonna be here.
Right? Like, if there's one thing you know about Comic-Con, it's like WB goes to Hall H. Nope.
But now you have to backtrack and be like, okay, one thing that is guaranteed. Comic-Con will be in San Diego. And then like in 3 years, like, oh, we're moving to Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
anyway.
maybe don't listen to me, kids. But I swear, usually I'm decent on these predictions. But yes. In other news, DC Universe is giving away a trip to Comic-Con. It's a VIP trip that includes airfare, 3-night stay, 2 Comic-Con badges. It's a little confusing on how you have to enter, and I don't really have great answers for that. So there's also a free option where you can like mail in a thing. So maybe do that.
And I think that Comic-Con has gone the way of the NFL. Because in both of these contests for The Walking Dead, it says you can win a trip for 2 to the world's biggest comic convention in San Diego. And on DC Universe, it says win a VIP trip for 2 to the Comic Fan event in San Diego. They're not saying San Diego Comic-Con. And as everyone else knows, for the Super Bowl, you're not allowed to say Super Bowl unless you pay them for the right to say Super Bowl. So I think that's what we got going on here.
Yep. Let's hope they don't sue us, James.
Yeah, it's big time.
Fingers crossed. All right. Farscape is doing a 20th anniversary panel. And they've got a couple of the original cast, like Ben Bratter, Gigi Edgley. They've got like the original creator. They've got Brian Henson, which is cool. And also, we've been getting a whole bunch of questions. So Gigi Edgley on Twitter keeps talking about like a VIP party. That is the Awesome Mixer Volume 2. I think the confusion is because Awesome Mixer Volume 2 has not officially said, hey, these are celebrities that are going. But it's the Farscape people. And there's other people, but that's what she's talking about. And
the other panel that we talked about with Eric that we expect to come is Westworld, which comicbook.com says they are coming. It's not confirmed, obviously, but we can pretty much expect them to show up if HBO is returning to the show with Game of Thrones. They're probably going to bring the stuff HBO usually does.
Yeah, which, I mean, truly, I think this would be the first year that HBO has brought 3 things that are huge. I know there were a couple years where like they used to bring True Blood, and was Game of Thrones still on when True Blood was on?
I think the last few years of True Blood, there was Game of Thrones.
Yeah, so they used to bring 2 big things to Comic-Con. But if they do this, then that would be 3, which is really pretty big for HBO, in my opinion. The trolleys have been getting all wrapped up for Comic-Con, and I actually love this. I think it's so fun that the San Diego MTS does this every year. We've got 2 designs right now. The SpongeBob, which I think we may have talked. No. I don't think we did talk about that last week. But we've also got a Fox Animation Domination trolley now as well, which has pretty much all their stuff. It's got like The Simpsons, it's got Family Guy, it talks about Bob's Burgers on it. I know last year they did a whole bunch of different Fox Animation wraps on the trolley, so we may have more coming. And I expect to see more trolleys any day now. Actually, no, I know the answer to this. I believe that they are doing the trolley wraps on Sunday or Monday nights, like while they're out of commission. And so we should get some more here like Monday or Tuesday.
Yep, all the way up until the show. And they're going to have a lot of wraps this year, right?
They are. I was told that's the schedule. And then obviously as we get closer, they'll have to like speed it up. But for right now, they're trying to like let the trolleys run as much as they can while also getting them wrapped. So.
In the world of contests, a new and interesting one, Hard Rock Hotel announced that they want to extend your stay. They are actually giving away a Sunday night stay to one lucky winner, as well as a complimentary breakfast. So head on over to our site and check the link for your free night chance at the Hard Rock.
Which would be pretty great. For free night hotel stay at Comic-Con?
Basically, if you do that, I mean, that means you can obviously come to our party on Sunday night.
That's right.
Because you'll be in town.
And if for any reason your flight does leave early, you can actually use that night anytime between now and December, or not now, but that Sunday and December 30th. So you can come back. As we talked about, Eric, Game of Thrones is coming back. What?
Yeah, that's the WB thing with Game of Thrones back. We're like, really?
Yeah, this was the other prediction that I definitely missed. I did not think that HBO would bring it just because it costs so much money to bring anything to Comic-Con, guys. Like so much money. And when stuff is over, like it just usually does not financially make sense. But like Eric said, Game of Thrones has always pretty much used Comic-Con for a victory lap. And the thing we didn't talk about with Eric, they've got, at least one prequel on the horizon. So they may want to both smooth over fan reaction and tease some new stuff just a little. So
look to the future, not to the past.
there you
go. Parking is open to all now. So if you still need parking, you can head over to the ACE parking website for Comic-Con and get yourself some parking.
Yep. Well, we already talked about that one. So Warner Brothers did happen to say that even though they are skipping Hall H for their movies, that they will be back in 2019. So 2020. I don't know what year it is. They'll be back next year, basically. So that's pretty much the same thing that Marvel said last year when they skipped, is that even though they were missing 1 year, they'd be back. HBO said the same thing last year. We know, at least at this point, that HBO is sticking true to their word. And let's hope everybody else does as well.
Yup. That's a lot of news. But there's still more stuff to talk about.
So much more stuff. Oh my god.
It's a long one because it's been 9 days since our last podcast, so we've got a lot to cover. And the news is obviously coming a little bit faster and a little bit heavier because we're getting 33 days out from the con.
Yep, and it only gets busier from here.
Yeah. So we have the... Oh, yeah. Why don't you go ahead and take the first one?
Sure. So the Chuck Jones Gallery always does some awesome exhibits during Comic-Con, which if you've never been, you should definitely check them out. They're usually like cartoon related, but this year they've got a whole bunch of stuff, including like you can go and meet Simpson storyboard artist Stephen Reyes. They've got a Major League Baseball artist. They've got some Looney Tunes stuff. They've got Golden Age Warner Brothers stuff. They've got Star Wars art. Like it's all really cool stuff. We will have the full schedule with times and some of the artwork here in a couple weeks. But for right now, we've got kind of like the brief synopsis.
And Entertainment Weekly announced their annual party, basically by saying, "Hey, you can win 2 tickets to it." Over
Not
on Charity
when.
Buzz. What?
You say when, like it's not a contest.
Yeah. Okay. You can win, air quotes, by spending money. It's for charity though, so head over to Charity Buzz. We have the links on our site. The party is always got a ton of people at it, and yeah, go check it out. 21 plus to win. Going to be on Saturday, July 20th.
The current bid is $3,750. I expect
out.
I expect it will go for much closer to $6,000.
Whatever.
Let's see here. Whatever. You take this next one.
Oh, I do. Okay. The Her Universe Fashion Show is back, as expected. We already knew it was coming back. It's the 6th year. They're teaming up with Hot Topic again, mainly because Hot Topic owns Her Universe now. But we got the details that you can start lining up at 1 p.m. It's going to be over at the Hyatt, the same place as it's been every year. Admission is free. Doors open at 5:15. Show kicks off at 6 p.m. It'll be on Thursday, July 18th. It's an awesome show. Again, you've probably heard us say it before, but if you haven't gone and you have, make time for it one of these years because it's an awesome show.
Yeah. So Nerdist is presenting the Upside Down, which is a Stranger Things themed party. They will have Stranger Things inspired immersive Instagram ready experience like Starcourt Mall, the Palace Arcade, Castle Byers. They'll have a DJ sets, a live performance by 80s band The Flux Capacitors, celebrity guests, pretty much everything except the $35, I think, dollars ticket option are completely sold out. All the VIP stuff is gone. All the early bird stuff is gone. So if you want to get in on this party, I would suggest that you hop on that.
Also coming up is something that we just got like yesterday, which is Mickey Mouse's Disco Night, which that is like the extent of the information that we have, basically. It's going to be at the House of Blues on Friday at 8 p.m. Tickets are not on sale yet. I think they're going on sale on the 24th. It says they have special things for D23 Gold members, which means it may only be limited to Gold members, but we don't know that yet because they haven't given us any other details. They did have a Mickey's Disco skating party last night or 2 nights ago, whenever it was, where they basically announced this. And so basically it's going to be some kind of celebration of Mickey in the 70s with a disco night. And there's going to be some kind of cool stuff there. So tickets are on sale Monday, June 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep. So let's talk about our party. So we made the official announcement this week about our party, though if you've been watching the podcast, you already knew pretty much all the details, but PaceyCon is our reader meetup / party thing that we do. This year it's going to be on Sunday, the only, what is it, James?
The only after party that's after Comic-Con.
That's right. That's right. So if you're looking for something to do on Sunday night, you can head to the Dubliner from 6 p.m. until at least 8 p.m. We'll probably stay a little bit later than that. We will be there hanging out. We'll have a couple of shirts and buttons to give you guys. It's pretty chill. We'll have a coloring contest just to tell you how chill this is going to be. A trivia contest, and we'll be giving away prizes like I've shown the lovely Dawson's Creek prayer candles. And this week I can show you if it will let me.
I got it. Okay. Holy cow, look at those. Hold them up.
There we go. These are crying Dawson earrings. So you can try to win a pair of those. We're trying here, guys. We're trying to do something a little bit different. So
we're trying to find the absolute worst, best prizes possible.
Basically, yeah. And just for the record, someone told me that they were considering cosplaying as Dawson's Creek characters. If you do that, you will absolutely win prizes. So,
all right. So, Night Bodega has a couple of questions. The first one about the Her Universe. Do you think I can still make it into Her Universe if I get in there an hour before? I'm pretty sure you can. It gets really close to full, but if you're there an hour before start, like if you get there sometime in the 4 o'clock hour, I think you'll be fine. If you get there close to 5 before they start letting people in, it's pretty full, but I don't think it filled up all the way. And then Night Bodega also asked, wait, for our party, what 6 to 8 only? Do I have an early bedtime? No, but we do. Because we just spent 5 days at Comic-Con.
Right, we're tired, okay? You can totally stay in the Dubliner later than 8 p.m. And we may stay later than 8 p.m. too. We are just not promising that.
Let me put it to you this way. If enough of you show up in costume and enough of you are doing drawing and coloring in on the coloring pages we bring, we're going to stick around to see what you do. Because we're very interested in how you color Dawson's Creek coloring pages. We want to see the Paceys. So...
And just so you guys are clear, if you guys enjoy this little crying Dawson guy, there's a coloring page that you're going to love as well. So, good times.
No expense for really awful gifts and things to do at our parties.
Pretty much. Our thing has always been, if it makes us laugh, we'll do it. Like, even if no one else understands, we will understand. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. So yeah,
I assume at least 3 other people are going to laugh about it. At least 3.
Yeah, so
maybe
please.
5. I mean, come on.
So you 5 people, you come to our party, you color in crying Dawson, and you'll win a prize. Great. Yep. All right. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff on our offsite calendar. We've been updating it so much here in the last week. We've added things like Mystery Galaxy offsite signings with authors, the annual library comment conference for educators and librarians, a happy hour with Kevin Eastman, which has 2 time slots, a second Adventure Zone show, and a whole lot more. So go look at our site, go look at the calendar.
Okay. Now we move on to exclusives, of which there are, again, a ton.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God.
First
I
up,
made the mistake of scrolling down.
our friends at Factory. They have started doing prints every year. And this year the print is Jaws. You're going to need a bigger con, 18 by 24 print. It's $20. You can pick it up at the show. There will also be a special shark-themed photo op at the booth. Or you can pre-order it and have it shipped after the con, or pick it up at the show without having to stand in line and do the whole buying thing. But it's a pretty awesome thing. It's got the convention center in the background. It's got Jaws in it. Jaws is the wrap on the hotel. I mean, it's great.
I think it's great too. So I hope you guys like it, because I feel like this is partly my fault, because a couple years ago Factory was like, what do you like? And I was like, stuff that relates to the convention. And then they started doing these spreads. So hope you guys like it. And the biggest exclusive news of the week, Funko has some Comic-Con specific. Speaking of Comic-Con specific, they have some new items like the mascot toucan. He's going to be a little Funko Pop. And then they've also got a Batman with a Comic-Con bag, which is awesome because, it's the 80th anniversary of Batman, and he's also going to be the first inductee into the Comic-Con Museum. They've also got a toucan Pez. So this is really cool. People have been, quite frankly, asking for years why we don't have a toucan Funko, and so I'm glad that this is finally happening. It sounds like these will be available at a second Funko booth, the Funko times SDCC booth. Sounds like both booths will be a lottery. What I am unclear of is whether that Funko times SDCC booth will have what it will have beyond these items. Will they be the ones selling Comic-Con merch? Will there be 20 different Comic-Con times Funko items? Will they have the regular Funko merch at both? I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But
I really love that toucan.
It's awesome.
I mean, and the fact that they're making it available at I think they said that it's going to be available on Funko Shop. So they're on
it is. Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, pretty much every single Funko exclusive is available somewhere else. Some of them are more readily available than others. Usually the ones that actually have a limited edition and a number, so 1,500, whatever, those are usually available in the Funko Shop. And usually everything else is available through various retail partners. So Hot Topic, GameStop, etc. will post. Funko posts the schedule usually Wednesday morning of where everything will be. We also put up what other people are able to compile. But yeah, that's what I've got for you.
One of the other major players on the exclusive side is Hasbro, and they released some of their exclusives. They had announced some a long time ago with the Star Wars ones at Celebration. So we finally got a new one, and it is the Power Rangers Lightning Collection 6-inch Mighty Morphin Red and Zero Gold Ranger 2-pack. It looks pretty cool. All Hasbro stuff pretty much always looks cool. They really do the packaging up for these things. This will be $49.99, and it's going to be the standard Hasbro process of getting these. So, lottery, and then walk up when lotteries are done for the day or whatever it was that they did last year.
Yeah. So real quick, Night Bodega asked a couple of questions about Funko that I can answer. He said that he looked at the floor mech and couldn't find that second Funko booth number. Don't forget, so pretty much a lot of the floor is shifted this year, in part because Warner Brothers and DC combined. So actually, tons of people have brand new booth numbers this year. So yeah, I think for the first time in quite a while, the floor plan might actually look a little bit different this year.
Right. And typically, if a booth number is not on the the floor plan the previous year, it means that it was part of what they call an island of booths, where they're combined all into one, and they just give like Lucasfilm, the whole Lucasfilm thing is just booth 2913, but it's going to be more than just 2913 because that's one 10 by 10 spot.
Right.
So it's they combine them all into one and just give them one number.
Yep, that's exactly it. Monogram has announced a couple of exclusives. Which one am I starting with? Okay, so the first one is the Godzilla 65th Anniversary Collector Set with 3D foam bag clips. Basically, it's Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and a Godzilla 65th Anniversary logo. I actually think Godzilla looks a little bit like a very angry Toothless, but I think it's cute. And then I legitimately love this. They announced a Friends 3D foam bag clips collector set today, which has all the Friends, and then a Central Park mug foam clip. I think that is adorable. That one's going to retail for $50. The Godzilla one's going to retail for $30. They also announced a Kingdom Hearts 3 lanyard with enamel pin set, which will retail for $20. So super cute stuff.
Yeah, love those things. The Friends ones are awesome.
I think the Friends ones are amazing, actually. When they announced this day, I was like, this may be the best thing Monogram's ever brought.
And then we have, you're up next again.
Oh, it's my favorite, my lovely friend, Patrick Ballesteros. We've got a whole bunch of announcements from him, apparently, because we haven't done this in a couple days. Let's start back here. So Patrick Ballesteros is going to be bringing an awesome, huge, kind of like a diorama slice of life thing for Avengers Endgame. And it's basically got a whole bunch of little scenes from the movie. It looks amazing. And if you happen to notice, the shape is in Thanos' glove, which I love that detail. And then he's also bringing another Avengers Endgame print with the A-Team, which has all the girls in it. It's also super cute. This one will be one of his exclusives, the 25-cent Wonders, whereas the diorama kind of print, that one is not an exclusive. It's basically just making its debut at the convention. That he'll have in a ton of quantities. The 25-cent Wonders are exclusives. He'll only have 100, and he will have like one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, one on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And he will announce these schedules we get closer. The one that he announced today is this Keanu Reeves one, which is called He Knows Kung Fu. And it's basically got a whole bunch of Keanu's recent movies on it, including Toy Story 4, which hadn't even come out yet. And that's cool.
Yep. Always cool.
And oh my God, you guys are going to die when you see what he's got coming out on Sunday. Like,
yeah.
It's legit.
Yep. You're going to love it. So we have one of the other big players is Mattel, and they always bring their usual stuff. So this time we have the Masters of the Universe He-Man and Prince Adam 2-pack, which is basically, retro vintage 80s versions of these characters. This will retail for $40. And then we also have the Mega Constructs Masters of the Universe Battle Bones set, which will retail for $30. Both of these will be on the pre-sale on Monday morning, correct? I think it's 7 a.m.
Monday morning, bright and early. I'm pretty sure it's 7 a.m. Pacific time. There are still at least 3 or 4, which they've not announced, which at this point, we will probably learn about them on Monday morning at 7 a.m.
So the process is returning from last year, as we mentioned in the previous podcast, where you order them in advance, you check in at the booth, and then they mail them to you after the show. Yep. Of course, you can always buy whatever they have left or available at the booth during the show, but this is the way you can guarantee it, is by pre-ordering and then having them shipped to you.
Yeah. I also want to give a tip. Assuming the sale works like last year, it was super weird. So if you go to like their main sale page, last year, like when the time was, you got stuck in this like weird waiting room. But literally, if you just like clicked refresh, it would take you directly in. So if you get stuck in a weird reading room, like when it opens, like don't hang out there for 5 minutes. Like open up another browser or tab or whatever and try to get in there and bypass it. Because I know a lot of people actually missed out on getting the exclusives they wanted last year because of that weirdness. So it's my tip.
There you go.
There you go. Icon Heroes finished up their exclusive announcements with several items. Will you push it up, James?
Oh, I forgot some Mattels, believe it or not. I didn't.
Go for it. Go back.
Let me get into those.
I know. I'm kind of confused because we haven't done this in so long, and so I'm like, how far back am I going?
Right. We had also a Batman set. It's the 80-page giant Batmans with 4 different, I think it's 6-inch-ish Batman action figures. A very colorful one, a negative one. Basically some really cool Batman action figures. And then we also have the armored Batmobile from the 1989 Batman film. The 80-page giant set is going to retail for $80, and the Batmobile will retail for $25. It's a Hot Wheel die-cast car version of the Batmobile. So both of those were announced as well. And now that's all of Mattel.
Rainbow Batman. That's pretty cool. All right. So as for Icon Heroes, they finished up their exclusive announcements with some things like a Golden Girls rose gold dress bobblehead, which is going to be $30. So if you like Betty White, that's pretty fun. This, truthfully, look, I know Game of Thrones is coming. I know we all think Marvel's coming. This weirdly feels like the year of Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid, because I feel like everyone is doing something for Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid, including Icon Heroes, who will have a 35th anniversary logo gold enamel pin, which will be $10. They are also bringing an 8.5-inch Vigilante Deluxe statue, which will retail for $100 at their booth. They will also, just in case you didn't know, they have a pre-sale which launches on Monday as well. I don't have a time, but they'll be doing it Monday through the 20th, and you can pre-order for shipping after the convention.
Yes.
Yes. And then finally, we've got Cryptozoic. They announced a ton of stuff. Their pre-sale for the Ravishing, or am I saying that right? The Ravishing Red Raven DC Little Bombshell.
You did the same thing I did and forgot some Icon Heroes.
Did I?
Yeah. Because we apparently just aren't paying attention enough. But we had the step. I don't think
How far back?
No, we got.
We didn't do these. Okay, Dumbledore. Yes, there's a Harry Potter Professor Dumbledore faux bronze statue from Icon Heroes as well. He's 8 inches tall. He will retail for $100. And then, if you are a fan of Star Trek Discovery, they have an Emperor Giorgio Terran Empire dagger letter opener, which will retail for $30.
Yes, this is Beth keeping us on track because she's the producer. She like cracks the whip to make sure we're all in a line.
No, good for her. Good for you.
All right, we covered. Now let's do Cryptozoic.
All right. So like I said, the Ravishing Red Raven DC Bombshells already sold out. You can, however, still go buy it directly at the booth if that is what you want. Then they announced a whole bunch of other stuff, including a Golden Goddess DC Bombshell Series 3, which is going to have Harley Quinn, Black Canary, and Mira. They showed these off at Toy Fair. They look awesome. And then there's also a Golden Goddess Cammy, which is, she's 7 inches tall. She's going to be 40. The Golden Goddess set is 120. And then they are also bringing along Black, White, and Red Oliver, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. I think these are tikis, right? Yeah, these are tikis. And this set will retail for $20. So those are pretty cool. And all of their stuff will be going up for pre-sale. Basically, there's one each the next upcoming Thursdays. So if you want any of that, stay on them. And they're bringing some other stuff, which They just haven't announced yet. Like, there's going to be some free promo cards for like Outlander and Universe and a couple other things. So we'll have more details on that soon.
All right. Lauren Sanchez asked a question earlier about assuming they're going to follow WonderCon and do the token system for exclusives. Do we expect exclusives and autographs to be different kinds of tokens? Yes, we expect them to. They haven't announced anything yet, so we don't know if they will. Do we expect them to be different? Honestly, we don't know. They weren't different last year, right? It was all in one. They didn't do tokens, but you did all the requests in one thing.
It was all in one, and that's kind of why I don't know. You and I, truthfully, we've been discussing this literally since they announced it for WonderCon. Like, what are they going to do at Comic-Con? And I don't know. My opinion is that this system is not super high tech, and so I feel like making them two different types of tokens is maybe beyond the capabilities of this system.
Yeah, it's all. I think at this point we can assume that it's most likely going to be all in one. And it's just however many tokens they give you for a day is how many you have to spend across all exclusives, whether they be signings or purchasing at booths.
But honestly, like, look, this could work in your favor. So, like, if you are a person who is truly into autographs, you can put all of your tokens into autographs. If you are a person who is truly into exclusives, you can put all of your stuff into exclusives. Rather than what they did previously, which was basically where everyone just signed up for literally everything. And so then we had a bunch of people who didn't show up to buy their exclusives or to attend the autograph signings, et cetera, et cetera. So I actually think
theoretically this will increase your chances because not everyone can sign up for everything.
Right.
So you sign up for the things you want.
Yeah, like that's the whole point of the token system is basically it forces you to spend your points on what you really want instead of just being like, I want everything. So
there you go. Well, there was a ton of other exclusives. Cinequest, Alex Ross, Yumi Toys, Mezco, Yesterday's, Toynami, Crazy Cat Collectibles, Inside Editions, Gallery Nucleus, Bill Sinkovich, Entertainment Earth, all had exclusives announced in the last 8 or 9 days. So head to the blog and check them out and figure out how you're going to get everything, and also how you're going to get everything home after you're done buying it all, and also where the money's going to come from, because that's a question we all
have. Yeah, we can't answer that one for you. We had a couple questions. Night Bodega asked, why do we think there's no more artwork on the badges? My guess, quite frankly, would be probably just that AMC, who was sponsoring them, probably just didn't want to do that. Would literally be my guess. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's where Teen Wolf Wi-Fi went, was Teen Wolf didn't want to do it anymore, so bye-bye free Wi-Fi. So I think that's entirely possible. Let's see here. AB Pokemon asked, any standby lines for autographs like WonderCon? To be determined, but last year they did not allow standby lines at all at Comic-Con just because it's a totally different convention. And it's just so much harder to like organize that kind of like manage that kind of stuff. There'd be way too many people hanging around. So we'll see.
Yep. And then on Twitter, we had Rachel M. Wilson ask, how easy or hard is it to get the exclusive Funkos at Comic-Con? How do you get them? Is there a special pass or ticket you need? Well, it's pretty easy. Sign up for the lottery, and either you win or you don't, and then you get to buy the exclusives. But Carrie has the best plan ever, which is just buy them on the website that they're shared with while you're sitting at Comic-Con, and they're shipped to you, and they're waiting for you when you get home.
Do you guys know like how many years like I've been in line for a panel or whatever, and it's like 2 a.m. and the people beside me are like, "Oh, the Funkos are up on Hot Topic," so it's like, let me wake up and have to like pull out my phone and buy them. Like this is that's what you do.
Now, yes, there's a sticker that says San Diego Comic-Con versus Summer Exclusive or whatever the heck it says. But honestly, you can enter the Funko lottery, and you already know if you've won or not by the time you get to Comic-Con, and they're not on sale yet. So if you didn't win, just buy them online, and then you don't stress anymore.
And honestly, like, even if you don't get it online, like the ones that are shared retails, like, give it a week and then just go to the store.
I stopped at a Hot Topic. I don't remember where, but I stopped at a Hot Topic the other day, and they had a 2016 summer exclusive.
Yeah.
At I don't remember which one it was. It was,
yeah,
I don't know, but they still had one. So come on.
Seriously, like, just give it a week. Go to the actual store. Like GameStop and Hot Topic have usually a bunch left over. The only ones that are like truly scarce are going to be the Funko Shop ones. That's literally it.
Yeah. So now,
go ahead.
It's time for Star Wars Talk with James. Right?
Yeah, let's do your section. We got mine with TV, so you go. Just gonna sit back.
I don't have a whole lot to talk about this time because I haven't been to Galaxy's Edge in like 8 days. But I'm going Saturday. So, and I'm going in the evening, so I get to see sunset, and I might get to see the fireworks, even though they're after my time period, because they don't necessarily kick you out right away. So we'll see.
So what has been like your number one favorite thing there?
Oh, come on. My number one thing. I love it all.
No, I'm going to make you pick.
I know. I'm thinking. I think, honestly, it really is just being there. Because the atmosphere, the design, the people, all the details, just seeing all the stuff, just being there is seeing the Falcon. I mean, it's all just awesome.
That's a good answer. Let's see here. Got a bunch of people saying the ride was so fun.
It is. I've been on it 5 times now. I'm hoping to go on it at least one more time on Saturday. Maybe twice, maybe 3 times. Depends on how full it is. If it's a 5-minute wait, I'm going as many times as I can.
Do it.
I've been in every. I think I've been in almost every position because the 2 pilots are 2 different things, but the gunners and the engineers basically do the same thing, just on different sides. So you either control the left gun or the right gun. But the pilots do 2 different things. One steers left and right, and the other steers up and down, and one does the hyperspace, and the other does the booster and the brakes or something like that. So I think I need to do right pilot still, and then I will have done everything.
Dapper Dude wants to know, what's your highest score?
I think was around either 10,000 or 11,000 credits, which if you're playing the Disney Play app, you get those credits deposited into your account when you leave the ride. You open up the app, and all of a sudden Hondo's there like, here's your credits, and it's awesome because I have like 36,000 credits now. So it's pretty awesome.
What do you do with the credits?
Actually, I did a thing the other day on the second visit near the very end of the day when I was trying to hack a portal. One of the the panels on a door. It popped up with someone else instead of the normal hack. Someone came up and was like, "Hey, by the way, I got this thing to sell you. Are you interested? It's called a skimmer." And I'm like, "What's a skimmer?" Because they have it. It's a choose your own adventure kind of thing, and you have quite an option to pick what's a skimmer. It's basically a thing you can install on a panel before either the Resistance or the First Order wins. And if you get back there before one of them wins, like if you're there for 3 hours, you install it in the first hour, you go back 2 hours later, and if no one's won yet, you collect all the credits that anyone has won in that time frame. You steal all those credits. It's awesome. So I have a skimmer left. So when I go there on Saturday, I'm going to try and install it in a panel that I know I'm going to be able to get back to easily, and I'm going to try and steal credits.
That's awesome.
You spend them on things like that in game.
Very nice. Very nice.
But I would suggest, and I've said this before, if you're going on this reservation period, don't do a lot with the app. You can open it and you can look at it. Like if you're on the Falcon line and it's like a half-hour wait, definitely do the task of standing in line for the Falcon task, which is basically lets you do things while you're in line, and it helps eat up the time in line. But otherwise, don't do a whole lot except for maybe hack a droid or a panel or something like that, just to see how to do it. But don't spend a lot of time on it. When you can go back and it's, no reservation time, and you can spend like 8 hours there or something like that, that's when you really want to get into the gameplay of the app, because it does eat up a lot of your time.
Yeah, wait until you've been as many times as James has.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna do a little bit. I'm gonna try and do the skimmer thing when I go back, but that's about all I'm gonna do, because we're going this time mainly to ride the Falcon ride. We've been to the cantina twice, so plus we're going at night, which means that the line's already going to be packed and it's going to be a long wait. So we're gonna go to ride the ride. We're gonna go to buy some more stuff, because you got to buy stuff. And we're going to go to try and get some sunset photos and some firework photos with the Falcon and the fireworks above it. So we kind of have to camp out and hold that position for a while in order to be able to do that, because there's a really good spot to sit for that.
Awesome.
Anyway, that's Star Wars Talk with James.
Best section of the podcast. Who needs the rest? Don't even need me. Like, this could just be the podcast now.
No. We're all here for Comic-Con. Come on.
All right. Well, I think that about does it, right?
Yes. If you know someone who still needs badges, there are contests for badges. So check out the contest hub. That's also for parties and other things that we've mentioned today. So check out the contest hub on the site if you're interested in picking up or getting into any one of those things.
And let me just plug again our lovely commissions list, which truly, guys, like, I know we talk a lot about artists, but artists are amazing. Artists are like the heart of Comic-Con, quite frankly. And owning prints is awesome, but there's something even cooler about owning original art. And it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg. Like, we added somebody today who is doing commissions for as little as $10. So it helps out an artist. You get something awesome in the process. Go check it out. And if you are either an artist or an exhibitor who would like to be featured on our site, please just shoot us an email. It's literally that simple.
Which you'll have to wait about 2 minutes for us to give all the contact information at the end of the show.
Yes. Yes.
Attendee of the week is still going strong. If you would like to be considered, you just head over to the site and go find our BR Attendee of the Week post. There's actually a slider on the homepage. You can just click on it and go to it and enter, and maybe you will be our Attendee of the Week.
That's right. I actually love that section. I think it's really fun, like getting to read about people's stuff. Like today we did one. I thought it was awesome. So a guy went to like a collecting Star Wars toys panel or whatever, and he won something from Sideshow, and he was like, okay, I won like a little thing. Like, no, they gave him like 2 like full boxes, like, to somehow get home, like massive boxes. And they were like, you build this thing and it's like a life-size replica. And he was like, oh my God. So that's cool. But we have fun little stories like that, because everyone has fun little Comic-Con stories, because that's the magic of Comic-Con. Prize Mule returns this year. We announced our first round of Prize Mule sponsors, which I think was like 17. I think it was 17. We've got folks like Hallmark, Hasbro, Entertainment Earth, Factory Entertainment, Toddland, Yesterdays, Toynik, Kid Robots. I'm forgetting a bunch of amazing companies, but we posted it all. Super grateful. If you would like to follow along with Prize Mule, basically just watch our Twitter. We will be pretty much everywhere. And when we post that a mule is with a prize, be the first person to find it and you win.
And I think some of us are planning to up our requirements this year. So be prepared to not just show up and say some kind of thing like, hey, I'm here. Because sometimes, we're like, show up and say, hey, I'm here. I mean, I'm thinking maybe you might want to know at least the first line or two of the LiveJournal theme song.
Absolutely.
You may want to practice your dance moves from the 90s. I don't know. There may be just a heightened little task to get those prizes this year, because we're like that. We like to do that.
It's not only is it Comic-Con's 50th anniversary this year, it's also our 10th.
Yeah.
So we're upping the ante for our own anniversary. As we talked about earlier, PaceyCon is going to be happening on Sunday, the only after party after Comic-Con, as James is fond of saying. We will be at the Dubliner from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. with a coloring contest, trivia contest with Dawson's Creek, and Comic-Con trivia. And it'll be James and the rest of the crew just talking to you guys. Like we want to get to know you. We want to be able to chat with you, and this is a nice little chance at the end of the convention. So come say hi.
This year, normally when we do this, we do it before the show, and so we always ask people, what thing are you looking forward to most? So this year we get to ask people, what did you enjoy most about the show?
Yep.
And then the great thing about that is that we then get to hear a bunch of stuff that we didn't even know happened.
Which happens every year. Like, it's always so funny to me. We do this. I especially like eat, breathe, and sleep Comic-Con news. And still, like, the convention happens and there's like thousands of things happening. And it's like, who knew that was happening?
Yeah. Or just hearing how their con experience went is always great to hear. So
yeah.
So come ready with stories and your drawing hand and your 90s and Comic-Con trivia, because bring it.
That's right.
Okay. So join us live every Wednesday-ish. Because
next week is Wednesday, though.
Next week is Wednesday, but we're going to be moving around a lot for the last few weeks because guests have schedules and, the whole thing about that. So like today, we're on Friday. Whoa, look at that. But all the way leading up until the week before Comic-Con, we're going to be doing shows. So join us every week, and we're going to chat and do all that kind of stuff.
Yep. You can also sign up for our newsletter. There is a link in the show notes or up on the sidebar of our website. We are actually sending them out weekly. Thank you, Sarah, for doing that.
Thank you, Sarah. So in closing, thank you for joining us. Carrie, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on the blog, Twitter. Yeah, you can find me right here. This is where I am on the internet, is this podcast. And I'm also on the blog, Twitter. Technically, my Twitter is at Carrie Dixon, but I don't look at it this time of year. James, where can we find you on the internet?
I am everywhere on the internet at Dan Regal, Instagram, Flickr, Twitter, everywhere. Here, Dan Regal. You can also check out geekshotphoto.com for links to all of our photography stuff for my wife and I, our social media and all that, which also brings me to thank you, Beth, our producer, for editing the show, creating those slides that you see, all the little things that get this podcast done, including making sure we don't skip anything like we did like 15 times tonight.
It was confusing. I don't know what the last podcast was. We're on iTunes. If you'd like to subscribe, the links are up on the blog, or you can search for SDConCast. If you like what you've heard so far, please review us. We're also on Stitcher Radio. The link is in the show notes.
So if you want to get a hold of us, artists and exhibitors, you can send us an email at sdcomiccon.blog@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/sdconblog, or tweet us at sd_comic_con. Thank you all for listening. Everybody, go Shawarma. Star Wars Talk with James coming soon.